People don't even understand the Church of Satanism. That's controlled up. They want you to think Satanism is about red horns, a pitchfork, this LARP character. Anton LaVey's real name was Howard Stanton LaVey, and the Satanic Bible was written by Asaph Dayan, which is the son of Moshe Dayan, who basically founded the IDF.
Yeah, he helped, he ran weapons and sent weapons to Israel as he was infiltrating Hollywood to push Satanism.
They are so ahead of the mark that they produce controlled opposition Satanism. So that instead of looking at Talmudic Satanism, which is really what Satanism is a stepping stone towards, if you look deeply enough, they just want us to look at
the horns,
Anton LaVey, Satanism, LARPing, a bunch of these dysgenic losers or incels getting together and LARPing and like, yeah, down with Christianity. And then all the boomer types get offended. Actually, that's a distraction, while the actual degeneracy and the normalization of evil is happening through these Talmudic folk.
But no, I do think it's interesting that at the same time, he's trying to create Israel, and he's also pushing Satanism at the exact same time, the exact same guy.
They know what they're doing.
But it's also, you look at like some of their, like, they believe in their God. Look at Epstein Island, for example. You see that giant, he had that temple built there. These are the most elite people around the world. They believe in this stuff. We cannot believe in it, but they believe in their demon gods.
Yeah, ultimately, the world is run by satanic pedophiles.
I think it's like a $25,000 challenge. Anybody that can disprove his book, and I actually have copies of the book that I just got at the studio this morning that Andrew sent to us. And one of the most disturbing aspects of this understanding is realizing that these satanic anti-human individuals and organizations that are waging war against humanity exist in the halls of doctors' offices and at hospitals and in these big pharmaceutical companies, these corporations that not just in this country but all around the world have spent decades poisoning and torturing and murdering the very people that they claim to be in the business to help. It's a gang of tyrants who believe that your body and your free will should be under their control. And this goes way further than some desire to give people shots and make billions or trillions of dollars pretending to eradicate disease. If it were that simple, it probably wouldn't have gone on for this long. But it's not that simple, because there is a deep spiritual aspect to this. A big spiritual component. And corporations like Pfizer and AstraZeneca and Johnson & Johnson and all of them really effectively have merged with governments, including our own, to carry out their demonic agenda. When you roll your sleeve up and you take that jab, or you roll up your child's sleeve for them to take that jab, you're participating in your own personal conquest ritual. You are submitting to a group of people who at this point are well known to be deploying biological weapons against mankind. We've discussed this extensively on this show and across the network. The COVID jab, indisputably, is a weapon of biological warfare, a weapon of mass human destruction. And it's not the only one, but don't just take it from me. Take it from Albert Bourla, the Jewish CEO of Pfizer, who presided over the scamdemic and the rollout of Pfizer's death jab. Bourla, by the way, is deep in bed with Donald Trump. They're under the covers with each other. And now Albert Bourla and Pfizer and the Trump administration are working together to make sure that Pfizer has unfettered access to as many American bodies as possible to pump full of their poisons. And not just Pfizer, but others as well. We can touch on some of them in a bit, but these people have been given a license to pump the American people full of their bioweapons. That's exactly what they are. And Bourla said so himself. Watch.
Do you think the pandemic has perhaps it's reminded the world of the power of medicine, the power of science? Has it reminded your industry of its responsibility to the whole world, rather than just those rich countries that are lucky enough to be able to afford great medicines?
I think both are true to a very high degree. I think the world realized the value that a vibrant life sciences sector can bring to society, but also reminded of us when we have these weapons, these weapons in.
Do you hear how easy that came out of his mouth? Just like it's no big deal that Pfizer and world governments have these bioweapons to shove inside the bodies of everyone that they can get their hands on. He tried to correct himself, but everyone had already heard him. Everybody already knows what he said and what he meant. And that's intentional, because these people love rubbing it in the faces of humanity. They love telling the American people and the people of the world, especially Christians, that they are going to do these things to us, and then they do them. It makes them feel powerful. It makes them feel excited. It gives them a sexual charge, probably. They can carry over some of that pedophile island energy. Because again, this is demonic. It's satanic. And at the core of all of this is the beast, the Antichrist. And these pharmaceutical corporations, the Pfizers of the world, these big pharma Jewish CEOs like Albert Bourla, they are all part of the mass murdering war criminal cabal that includes central banks and private equity and legislative bodies, national presidents, academic institutions, the biggest corporations in the world, all across industries and a whole lot more. They're all playing their part in this beast system to seize control of humanity. It's a satanic agenda. This country was founded as a republic where our people could be free. The founding generation of this country broke away from the British monarchy specifically because they believed in freedom. They believed in self-determination. And they believed, and rightfully so, that living under that British monarchy was the polar opposite of all of that, so they broke away. They waged war. They risked everything. Many of them gave their lives, and of course, as a result of that, this country was founded. And at the time of its founding, it became the freest country on the face of the earth, but it just no longer is. We're told that it is, but we know that it's not. Yeah, sure, we still have a constitution with rights like free speech and the right to bear arms and fair trials and others permanently outlined in black and white on paper, but that only matters if you have a government that cares about the law in the first place. And we don't. We don't have one of those. Instead, we have a government of criminals, a government of gangsters who lie and cheat and murder, steal, molest kids. We have a government full of people who actually campaign on destroying our Constitution and attacking the long-held civil liberties of American citizens, especially their First and Second Amendment rights. But think of everything else that our own government is doing to come after us constantly. They want to be able to seize your property and detain you indefinitely or throw you in prison for life with no trial, take your kids away from you if you won't castrate them. I mean, the list goes on. And actually, they have already done all of this. Our constitutional republic has been turned completely upside down. We've gone from a union of sovereign states to one big giant totalitarian mass the size of a continent, within which our own people face lawfare and propaganda and biological warfare, the biggest invasion force in world history. And that's because our country is owned and operated by people that our founders wanted nothing to do with in the first place. Now, some places in this country are farther along than others when we talk about the total degradation of our basic constitutional rights. And the state of Hawaii is one that pretty much stands out to everyone. The people of that state they've been through hell. In Maui, they were subjected to what was very obviously weapons of mass destruction or directed energy weapons when they were attacked by fire and burned that whole community to the ground, slaughtered innocent children, and then was covered up in broad daylight by the very same government that facilitated it at every level all along the way. Local officials even ordered the fire department there to cut off the water supply so that the flames could spread unimpeded. And since then, the people of Hawaii have faced even more oppression and attacks, and now the state government has passed a law allowing themselves to confiscate your property without due process. I mean, this is like the Soviet Union. They can steal your land, they can steal your livestock, they can even steal your food supplies so that you'll be completely and totally dependent on them for survival. That is the point in all of this, to crush us and make us beg for our mere existence. Americans are trailblazers. They're independent. At least we were. But now we're allowing ourselves to be governed by fake officials who pass laws, fake laws, to cause real damage to real people. And we just can't allow that to continue. Michelle Melendez is here. She's in the green room. She's an author who's been on the program before to discuss the Maui fire. She joins us now to share more on this. Michelle, thanks a lot for coming. I appreciate you being here.
Hey, aloha, Stu. Thanks so much for having me. Everything you said was absolutely correct and more. I mean, our governor, he's a special dictator. Last year, he tried to pass and mandate the whole entire vaccine schedule for all children to be able to go to school, zero religious exemption, zero medical, completely violating parental rights. And we're actually stepping back. We're actually standing up against him because of that with the Keep Vaccines Optional event that we're having in January. But thank you so much for having me again, Stu.
Yeah, Shabbat Shalom. So this governor is saying that whether it be public or private school, every student in Hawaii needs to be compliant with what the CDC says is the recommended childhood vaccine schedule.
Yeah, he did that last year. It was a bill that was going through legislation. It timed out, thank God. It timed out because it looked like it was going to pass. So we are doing our own ballot initiative here on the islands. We have a 4-island tour. We're bringing Mickey Willis, Dr. Robert Malone, Jimmy Dore, and Dr. Ryan Cole, so that we can get signatures on a ballot that we can put forward to keep vaccines optional for for the parents and for the children.
How are people even considering being compliant with this?
You know, it's really challenging here in Hawaii because a lot of Hawaiians, some want to step up and they want, freedom for all and for their families, but some of them just kind of go along to get along, and it's heartbreaking around that. The words that I have around that are challenging. So we're basically, what I'm doing is I started standtogetherhawaii.com. I wrote another book, The Death of Freedom, and this one basically shares the foundation of how we got to this point. You were just saying earlier about the founders. This is not the America that the founders wanted. Absolutely true. It was corrupted after 1871 when the District of Columbia was created. And basically they put their evil fingers into the sovereign states. That's where our governor comes from, because what he's doing is so against the Constitution. He did sign into law a biosecurity law that allows the government to come in, confiscate property, just like you said earlier. That is a law here in Hawaii. We're trying to use citizen memorandums to amend that law. And then the last thing I'll share is that the governor has signed 9 emergency proclamations over 90 times. He signed an emergency proclamation because we don't have enough school bus drivers. He suspended 32 laws without legislation, and nobody's checking him on this. It's unbelievable what's happening in the government here.
Yeah, but we're talking about children. And so I guess what I'm trying to understand is those Hawaiians who choose to want to inject their children with, I think it's, 72 shots by the time they're 6 years old or something. It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
the amount of shots that are going in. Go ahead.
72 doses of 18 vaccines, 72 different antigens. They don't understand. They don't look it up. I remember I paddle in a canoe, and a friend of mine came up and, I just took my little girl to get her vaccinations, and I'm just like, my eyes popped out, and I'm just like, they don't read what's in it. And it's really important for shows like yours.
And if they don't want to, yeah, I agree. But if they don't want to, and if they don't have access to it, or they choose to just, keep the scales over their eyes or keep the blinders on to remain willfully ignorant, that's on them. But it shouldn't be on my kids. I mean, we're talking about
exactly
the life, the physical health of my child. So how do these parents who are very pro vaccinating their children, which fine, go ahead. Hopefully my kids won't be in the same class or proximity to your kids, because I don't want them shedding all over my kids. But what is their argument that you, Michelle, you must vaccinate your children as well? How does it impact their children or their lives if your children are vaccinated? And what is the justification for any of this thought process?
That is brilliant that you said that, because it's so true. If you're vaccinated, why are you worried that I'm not? Because you're protected now, right? That's what they say. So why do you care what I do or what I do to my child? Absolutely correct. This governor, he's over the top. He's an absolute dictator. The mafia runs these islands, and he keeps pushing. He keeps going. When they passed the biosecurity law that allows the government to come in to take property, these legislators, we've contacted them. They didn't know that was in the law. It's Section 3. We want to amend Section 3 to pull it out, because that's the section that allows the government to come into people's private property without due process, without any proof that there's a biosecurity risk. They just have to say there is, come in, take the property, and the homeowner has 60 days to sue the government to get their property back. That's a law right now.
So are you saying that if you choose not to vaccinate your children, that your home then by extension gets labeled as or deemed as or becomes a biohazard security risk?
I mean, that they could do that. They could do that because that is a law right now. That is a law for them to come in and confiscate people's property without due process. And so they could do that.
Where are they sending the inhabitants of that property? Are you going to jail?
I don't know. My assumption is that they get homeless. They're homeless. That's my assumption around that. But that is a law right now that we're working on with citizen memorandums.
We're going to make our state safe by requiring that everyone is injected with weapons of biowarfare, and heavy metals and neurotoxins. And if they're not, we're going to put them out on the streets amongst all of you to wander around aimlessly and own nothing and be human walking bioweapons. We're going to take what we're deeming to be a threat and put it out on the streets in the public to mill around with you.
Yep. My book, deathofreedom.com. That is, it's #1 new release on Amazon. G. Edward Griffin wrote the foreword of it. A Tier 1 Navy SEAL endorsed it. It basically gives people the foundation of how America got taken over, because this is not America, everybody. This is the United States, which is a corporation. The United States is located in the District of Columbia. That's actually, you can look it up. In the District of Columbia, the United States is located in the District of Columbia. It literally states that. And those are two separate things. The United States and the United States of America are two separate things. That's
I just
something
can't believe that we're having to have conversations like this where there is some state executive who, without major resistance, is just allowed to force people into taking their children in and having injections in their body.
Yep.
This is their body. This is not like, it's not their car. It's not, something that they can trade in if it's defective, get a new one, fix it. I mean, this is permanently being injected into the DNA of your children.
That's right.
And it will have generational impacts because, as has been proven by countless studies, peer-reviewed papers, journals, these things are passed on when you conceive a child. And so for generations, they're poisoning the pool of Americans, and they're doing it at gunpoint. And they're doing it, by the way, at the end of a taxpayer-funded gun barrel, because we fund all of these different bureaucracies that are forcing and foisting these things upon you.
Absolutely. And what people need to understand is they have been doing undisclosed experiments to the American people since the 1930s. This is in my book, deathofreedom.com. They have been doing undisclosed experiments to the people. This is one of them. They have been the mind control that's happening with the CIA. This is another reason why people are vaccinating their children. There's so much mind control happening in the United States, and it comes from the television. It comes from your smartphones. It's the frequency. It's the reason why you can't stop scrolling. Why can't you stop scrolling? It's because there's actually the frequency that goes into your eyes, that goes into your brain, creates a state in your brain that is prone for manipulation, and you keep going with what it is that you're looking at. And that's all mind control. It's by design. I mean, so
is that real? I would like to talk to somebody on that. I'd like to speak to an expert on that. Is that real?
Yeah. Absolutely
these things
real.
are
100
intentionally programmed with a frequency that makes your eyes tell your brain, I have to keep scrolling. I can't stop.
Yes, it is. It's the blue light. Why in the world in 2009 why did Congress go, oh, you have to change your television to digital? Why did they do that? What do they care what the television is about?
Because it's really hard to recycle those big tubes,
Yeah, but also the reason is because the mind control that the machine actually emits a frequency that allows the more manipulation of the human brain, of the brain. And so this is why we had to switch to digital. This is why all the things are happening with the 5G, with your phones. You guys, it's all by design, and it's manipulation, mind control, and experiments. These non-disclosed experiments, there's so many, and I put a lot of them in the book, Death of Freedom. And it's when you start to read it, it's really disturbing. But here's the thing: we do have remedy. And it's going to take numbers, you guys. It's going to take numbers to doing peaceful actions, which we can do. In my book, I actually have a citizen memorandum for the chemtrails, for the climate change narrative and for the COVID, not so that we don't have another pandemic. And what you do is you can just print these out. You need numbers to get your community together, even if it's just a small list or to start with. And then you get these into your public record. You send them to your legislative body. This is what we're doing on the island because our power is locally. We can't change the nation. We can't change the world. We change it locally. Every person needs to step up. And yeah, it is frustrating, but I also know that we're guided by something greater than ourselves. Like you are guided to do your show. There's a reason why you're doing that. You're totally protected. And each one of us has what we call here on the islands our kuleana. What is ours to do? And this is what was mine to do, to write this next book, and also to keep telling people, just keep pushing back, putting these citizen memorandums into the legislation body and also into our public record through the county clerk's office. You guys, it's an email. It's an email. And you can actually check that out. deathoffreedom.com is where to get the book. You can get it on Amazon. Again, it's the #1 new release.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
A couple of us this year with that achievement, #1 bestsellers on Amazon for published books. I would never have guessed that it would have been a children's book, but that's where I'm at. Death of Freedom is available on Amazon. Michelle Melendez is the author. And whether you're talking about medical freedom or, AI super surveillance or the tech takeover, when you're talking about the oppressive actions of this illegitimate government that should be viewed as a criminal gang, because that's what it is. It's not a legitimate entity. We don't participate in the political future of our country. And, we don't exercise a right to go and vote and elect a representative that's going to properly represent us in Washington, D.C. and do the bidding and do the arguing for what's best for their constituents. That is a fallacy. It's fake and gay. It has been an illusion for the longest time. It's one of the greatest lies ever, just like Christian Zionism, huge lie. And these people have infiltrated and have subjugated and have subverted and now occupy virtually every single aspect of our society, whether it's through big pharma, Western medicine, the American war empire, the media, Hollywood, the entertainment industry, music industry, our institutions of learning, our apparatus of banking and finance. It is a multifaceted, through and through occupation. And that occupation is designed to destroy you and to destroy the nuclear family and to replace, your ethnic heritage and your cultural background in your country. It's to erase your race. It is to create an intentional clash of civilizations, to create constant division and wedge issues that get intentionally placed into our society and into our lives to keep us at each other's throats, arguing, constantly fighting. And what we should do is unite all of us together to fight the real enemy. So
I just want to say something too. It's not Republican and Democrat. Everything you said was absolutely true. They want you to pick Republican or Democrat. They don't care. They just want you to pick one so that you keep playing the game.
I don't care what side you're on. Just pick a side, because we need to divide you. And the Republican Democrat thing was the means to do that by halves almost essentially immediately. And then there are other wedge issues that, of course, get placed inside of those different ideologies. Well, now that I identify this way, I have to argue issues from this perspective. And now, if I choose this side, I have to argue this issue as well that way. And then there's infighting within the Republican Party and the GOP and within the Trump administration, all of these actors playing their roles. And they're fighting within each other, too, to even further divide. Use your discernment. And by the way, if your discernment is lacking or lagging a little bit, it might be because you have allowed yourself to become distanced from God. Get closer to Jesus Christ. Sharpen your tools.